welcome back to this Friday with me, Betty Kialo. Like I told you, tonight's going to be a fiery night, you know. We have the lovely Rev Natasha, otherwise known as the Oracle. And she came with so many goodies. I feel really bad that I don't have anything for her. But you know what? Yeah. It's a surprise.
But the water will be good. The water.
No, don't worry, the water is going to come in a few seconds. But I just want to ask you, first of all, you brought for me, of course, the Bible, which is such an honor.
Yes.
But also you have four books. When do you get the time to be, first of all, Rev, to lead a whole church, to write books, to do Natasha Hands of Compassion, to go abroad, to go meeting presidents. I mean, to also, you know, dancing in your house, doing the home makeup that you love to do, interacting with so many people. Yeah. I mean, how do you go about that? You know, where do you get the strength?
Yeah, you know, it's all about creating the balance, you know, and, you know, it's all about the balance, creating balance for your assignment, for your purpose, and for the things that set your soul on fire. So
all of those things set your soul on fire?
All of them are in alignment with my purpose, my passion, and they make me a whole person. So I just try to live my life unapologetically and just do everything that sets, you know, you have one life to live.
One life.
So you've got to live it to the fullest and to the best. So I really try. Yes.
And also still looking very, very exquisite, very lovely while doing all that.
Oh,
maybe just share with us, what is a typical day for Reverend Natasha? How do you start your day? Do you first go on Instagram or WhatsApp or Facebook? Because that's what, okay,
kwanza kwa simu
kuangalia. So how typically, just give us a very brief.
Briefly, my day starts with prayer. Every day my day starts very early, and it starts with prayer. I commit my day, my plans. From the previous day, I already know the events that are going to be running on that day. So I'm already briefed by my personal assistant if we have a compassionate event, if we have a church event, if I'm going to be in the office, if I have office appointments, if I have other events and engagements or invitations to do, because sometimes you're also invited in various places. So basically my day begins with prayer. And after prayer, of course, I refresh. I do skincare. You know, I also love to. I'm also a baby girl. As much as I'm a woman of God, I also, you know, I'm still in my soft girl era.
And it should be like that for a very
we should age gracefully. My mom is 62,
and she looks fantastic.
Yeah, you can imagine.
Bless her, I know she's watching. It's good. You know, I know her. She's such a lovely
and she's still slaying. So we always say that we must age gracefully.
Yeah, so that thing about taking care of yourself, the skincare. You know, when I posted, there's so many comments. We'll be going through some of the, you know, comments and everything. Yeah. But you know, a lot of people were like, is she really a church leader? Na anakaa hivo, anaslay, anapaka makeup, all those things. So why is it important to you? And what do you feel about people saying, oh no, she's too flashy, she's too pretty, she's too what? How do you feel about that?
You know the ones that judge you.
That baby girl thing.
Yeah, there are people that don't know you personally. And one thing I'll tell people is that I am not Jesus. I represent Jesus. So the challenge that we have with most people when they are looking at church leaders, they expect we don't have humanity. But divinity does not dismiss humanity. So I'll just tell people I am not.
What does that mean? Just break it down. You know, you have you know, statements. Divinity does not define.
It does not dismiss humanity. So when I say divinity does not dismiss humanity, what I mean in simple words is that just because I have the calling of God on my life by the election of grace, that does not dismiss I'm also a human being. And as Natasha, I'm also a person that will do skincare, that will get tired. Like now you can, unasikia niko na homa, I have a flu, you know. So that is what I'm saying. We are still human. But the challenge we have, especially for church leaders, when people see us as women of God, as men of God, they want to put us on the pedestals of perfection. They want to assume you're Jesus. So I always tell my members, our sons and daughters, I am not Jesus. I represent Jesus. I am just like a messenger with a message, a vessel. So after being, besides the calling of God, where I am the oracle of God, I am, you know, I am a pastor. I pastor an amazing church, Empowerment Christian Church, Nairobi, ECC, Nairobi. I'm also a human being. I'm a baby girl that wants to be spoiled, that wants to be loved correctly, that wants flowers, that wants to enjoy good music, good food. You know, so we are still human beings, and that is one thing I want people to know. We are not Jesus.
Okay.
We represent Jesus.
Okay,
that means, yeah.
All right.
So for those people that say ati makeup nini, you know, I just think those are people that are just...
These are the people around you. Let me, sorry to cut you short. Yeah. They always take care of you like a baby girl. They take care of you like a baby girl. Okay, so you're saying it should continue being...
Yeah, it should continue because it all depends with somebody's preference. Just like for you as a news anchor, there are some news anchors that have this particular style.
Yes.
We all can't be the same. But at the end of the day, you have to live to your authentic self. And that is what I've always wanted to be. I don't want to be the next so-and-so. I want to be the oracle or the Natasha that God created me to be.
Hey, you know, whenever you talk, I feel like Chayani in church. You know, it's like I'm preaching. All right, so we know what I want us to understand is that at what point did you hear the call of God to go into ministry and decide to leave everything about the world? I'm sure there's a time you were just a girly girl making mistakes here and there, maybe dating the wrong people, doing, you know, but then at what point did you decide, okay, you know what, I've heard him and I want to leave everything behind and I want to follow him? And how strong was it? Did it shock you? Did it, did it scare you?
Okay, the calling of God came very young, but at that time still I was under the... I was still a young girl. I was 9 years of age, and at that age, you don't even know so much. But I thank God, my own biological mother is a pastor. My grandmother, I've told you previously, they are all in the pastoral ministry. So I am like a third generational pastor. But I started that journey, and they really encouraged me together because I grew up in Mathare. So Bishop Gitonga was also like a father figure, even in that time in terms of ministry. I grew up in Mathare.
Come on now. Baby girl, you know. Lifestyle. So you grew up in Mathare?
I actually grew up in Mathare, and thank God we don't look like where we came from. But that is where the beginning of my life, my ministry, everything started there. But going back to the issue of ministry before even I talk about Mathare, it is at the age of 19 that I decided, you know, though I was preaching in children crusades, you know, under the guidance, of course, of mentors, my own mother that believed in the calling of God that was upon my life. It is at the age of 19 that I had this clear conviction in my heart after an encounter with Jesus. I first had an encounter when I was 9. I was too young to understand, but the only physical thing that happened at 9, I was born a stammerer, is that I realized, you know, after that encounter, God restored my speech and gave me the ability to communicate effectively. But at 19 years of age...
Wait, you mean at 9 you're a stammerer?
Yes, I stammered my whole life, all my childhood.
And maybe some people actually were like, now this one will never talk.
Yeah, me, I can. Kwanza even just saying mom, I was like, ma, I was a shy kid.
Oh no.
You know when you can't speak, you can't articulate. Yes. And I was schooling in Salama Primary in Huruma. You know, I was this kid that was always behind the scenes because I don't even want to be told, because kids would laugh, they would make fun. Yes. You know, so but it's at that age of 9. But at 19 years, I made that conscious decision, and I told my mom, regardless of what I will pursue, I feel ministry is also going to be part of my assignment. But when I started, Betty, I started from very humble beginnings. Today, people see us preaching around the world. Right, but those days, the invitations were in the village where my grandmother is a pastor. So, and it was through recommendations because, of course, there was no Facebook, there was no social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, even to showcase your gifting or your calling. So, I remember those days, ni kuparara. Unaenda unatoka hapa, unaingia Akamba bus. You've been invited to Kisumu, and it was not easy in the beginning, Betty. I had a lot of discouraging, you know, there are a lot of things that discouraged me that, you know, I was not called to do this because we would go some places when people see how young you are. Maybe you get a recommendation, this pastor calls this pastor, oh, this evangelist is on fire, you know, she can come. The minute I arrive, because they've not seen my face, they are like, I remember one time, I had just finished preaching in Voi. So this pastor calls another pastor, akamwambia, there is a young evangelist, she's on fire, she's been a blessing, can she come and also be a blessing? So he said, all right, let her come. Do you know, by the time we arrived, it was in Kisumu, by the time we arrived there to minister, the bishop, I called him, I said, oh, we have already arrived. So he said, I'm sending my driver immediately to come and pick you. You come to the office, we meet, then you start the ministration tomorrow. When the driver arrived that they are Kamba. It was me and my personal assistant at that time that I was still training, because when I started ministry, my mother said, when you travel, don't just travel alone.
Yes, yes.
You know, just travel, have somebody
to help you.
Yeah, at least you can be able to be together. When the driver came, he went around 3 times. He called the bishop, he said, there are no preachers here. Kuparara, vumbi.
Watu wako wapi? Sioni watu hapa, sioni preachers hapa.
Imagine, oh my God.
Oh my, but I hope, of course, that did not demoralize you.
No, it really, to some extent, because when I called the bishop back, I said, can you just give him my number to call my number directly? And that time there was no WhatsApp. It was like, you can imagine I was 19.
Yes.
So the driver calls me, I'm like, Nisisi. He was shocked. He takes us to the bishop. No, this was worse. The bishop said, between the two of you, who is Natasha? And I'm like, you know, Bishop, I'm so honored to be here. He cancelled the hotel reservation he had made for us based on appearance. That is the day I realized people are respecters of persons. Yes. Oh. It's only God that sees on the inside. Okay. Then he said, tomorrow you'll not even preach. Tomorrow you'll only greet the people.
Look at you. Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
Oracle. You know, I think you posted this picture and I was like, no, this is not her.
Imagine. So now if you see me slaying, please allow me to slay. Because Betty, the people that judge us, they don't even know our story.
Where we've come from.
Yeah.
Hapa
kwanza nilikuwa Eldoret.
Kama ningekuamini.
Haki nakwambia nilikuwa Eldoret. You know?
Oh my.
So, anyway, no, this is how I looked. And when I went on stage, Bishop akasema, you can't preach. Akaniambia salamia. But when he gave me the mic, those 5 minutes he gave me, I preached like a dying prophet. Then after that he said, continue. We are sorry there was misunderstanding because of age and na look.
And our look is
saizi tukipiga luku, acha tupige luku.
By the actually to Rev apige tu luku in peace now. But you know, coming from where you've come from,
yes.
How do you normally balance, you know, being this vibrant, sassy, you know, full of life kind of preacher, and the one that, you know, Kenyans wamezoea, you know, how, of course, there's so many critics who say like, no, which souls can she convert into heaven? Like, how do you normally balance being yourself and also being that serious person on the pulpit who can change lives, who can make people feel inspired and everything else?
You know, Betty, you are not called for everybody. So, and that is one thing that I know for sure. And I know that God has called me for this generation. And I've always felt it in my heart that our generation is our responsibility. So for me, I am not like focused, because I don't sell ice cream. So of course I can't be loved by everybody, you know. So I'm aware of that. And I know there are so many people out there that will always be committed to misunderstanding you, because the way my grandmother preached is not the same way I preach. The way my mother, syllabus inabadilika. Na syllabus inakimbia sana. You know, because the gospel has not changed, but the way we present the gospel to our generation has changed. For example, my grandmother has never been on the social media platforms. We are there. They've never used a screen. They've never used PowerPoint while preaching. They've never used an iPad, a tablet, projectors, you know, projectors. Times have changed. As we are modern, we are digital, and if you are not updated, you'll be outdated. So for me, I don't really focus on those that are committed to misunderstanding me, because you'll always find those people that will say it has always been done like this. And they will not allow you to be you. And at the end of the day, I don't live to the standard of people's perfection. I judge myself based on the word, and as long as I'm good with the Lord, I'm good with my hobby, I'm good with my conscience, I'm okay with it. All right,
we're coming to the hobby in a few minutes, but there's something that, you know, when I posted the Lord, you know, that we're doing the whole week, we've been making noise online.
Oh my God.
You know, one of the things is like, how does she make her money? How is she able to have all these entourages and people who work with her? They travel together to, you know, the US of A, everywhere around the world. How does she fund all these things? Many people are like, Ama, how does it happen? Maybe if you do, would you want to say something?
That is also a very good, it's a valid question. And the reason why it's a valid question is because we have nothing to hide. And as I said, I was raised in the slums of Mathare. I grew in the slums of Mathare. That is my history. But it does not determine my destiny. I was born in the slums, but the slums was not in me. And, you know, growing up, the first thing that I did is that I wanted to be the first person in my family to rewrite the history of my family, that where my father, where my mother did not reach, because I'm the firstborn, that I would be the first person to break the shackles of poverty. I can tell you, Betty, I was the first person in my family even to travel abroad. And when I say abroad, it was not that time in US or UK, ilikuwa South Africa. And I remember even getting that first air ticket and that first invitation to go to South Africa. We could not even comprehend when they were saying you have to check in, because we thought when you go to the airport, you go straight to the aircraft. So when they were talking about check-in, you know, and I remember that first flight, but I said, Lord, help me to rewrite. I remember even on that flight, I didn't even eat anything. They were asking me, it was a Kenya Airways flight, beef or chicken. I'm like, I'm good, you know, because we had no exposure. But today, by the special grace of God, I've traveled to over 50 nations around the world. I started in the slums. I started preaching in cities, in villages, in towns. So it was from glory to glory. Then now I started receiving international invitations. So going to the question of how I make my money. Number one, as God started now to establish me in ministry, getting invitations, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo. By then I was selling DVDs, you know, like the messages that that we have. That was the time of DVD, CDs. Then the Lord spoke to me and he said, all these messages, instead of carrying DVDs, why can't you turn them into a book? And that is when I started the journey of writing books. I've written 12 books in total, so that is one stream of avenue. So I am an author. My books, you don't even just have to buy them when you come to our resource center at ECC Nairobi. You can buy them on Amazon, on iBooks. Number two, I also have a YouTube channel. I celebrated over 500,000 subscribers, you know. So, and our YouTube channel is also monetized. We earn over $10,000 every month. That is also another stream of income. And I just want to encourage any content creator outside there. Make sure that you put your content out there. You don't need anybody to give you the platform or the stage. You can create, you can captivate, and you can conquer your territory. Just make sure your content is either educational, entertaining, or empowering, like for me. Then also, I'm a businesswoman. I'm a businesswoman. I deal with real estate. I deal with transport. So I'm also into the area of business. Then number four, I'm also a motivational speaker that is invited globally in international conferences. When they invite you, even the Bible is clear. In every labor, there should be profit. So when they invite you, I was recently in the US for 3 conferences in Arlington, Texas, in New York, and also in California. They also invite us. My husband is also into business. So we are doing so many things, just like the Apostle Paul. He was a tent maker and a man of God. So, but I'm sure when people see a pastor that is successful, they automatically assume offerings. I wish people can just come one day and gather and just count the offerings. Also, and see how much it is. Because people think that it's so easy or it's a walk in the park. Also, we have international partners that partner and support our, and I appreciate all the Kenyans of goodwill and all our international, and all our, because all our services are live streamed online on Facebook, on YouTube. So there are those partners that support, because our ministry is divided into 3. That is the Natasha Hands of Compassion, ECC Nairobi, and the Global Outreach Ministry. And we have so many partners that support us as well.
All right. I mean, okay, that's a lot.
So wash hata sijui.
Unajua mimi nasikianga ni ngumu kujua tena nafanywaje. So so you know, or we're running out of time, but there's something very important we have to speak about. Mr. Stanley Carmel, your husband. First of all, you guys met, you met online?
Yes, on Instagram.
He went on the DM. Aliingia DM.
Yes.
Alicheza ka yeye. Trust, like, okay, how did you trust somebody who's so far away? He was in India at that time.
No, he was in, the first time he ever saw me, he was in India, but then he relocated to Canada. But you know, he DM'd me. His DM was not like one of those messages.
Tunajua zile zingine.
Zake zilikuwa 2 years.
Kuna konga zile zingine za Instagram, you just like shut it down. So so how first did you trust him?
Yeah.
Maybe very quickly.
Yeah, so very quickly, just to talk about my hubby, and I thank God for him because this is a man that compliments me after, you know, I had always believed God to give me this kind of a man that will not complicate but will support my assignment, you know, a man that will stand with me. He slid into my DM, but of course it took me 2 years. He was very persistent.
Okay.
Persistence outweighs resistance. He kept on encouraging me, sending me messages until I was like, who is this handsome Indian guy? You know, I was like, Ebu, let me just see. So I responded to him, and when I responded to him, he said, you know, it has been almost over, you know, that time it was almost 2 years, you know, and I always keep on sending you messages, nini. Then I told him, you know, I was so busy, I was traveling. Then he said, I want to meet you in person, you know. So I told him, of course, that time I was going to the US. He said, I'm flying in to come and meet you. So when we met, everything else became history. We just connected, we complimented each other, though we are from different cultures. Of course, he's from India, and I'm from here in Kenya. Our cultures are so different, but the love brought us together. The calling we have, our vision just aligned. And
lastly, the long distance marriage, you know, already a relationship is hard. Yeah. Very quickly, how do you handle that?
You know, I know for now our marriage is a long distance marriage because we meet as often as we can. He was here just recently. We were with him in the US. He was here in March for my brother's wedding. He was here for Chris. We always meet as often as we can, but we still live in different continents. He lives in Canada. I live here. But it takes commitment, compromise. It takes a lot of communication because it is communication that brings understanding. And he's a man that has really brought a lot of fulfillment in my life. Even when we fight, this is the person that I feel, you know, at the end of the day, he'll just come big spoon me and calms me down. Nainaisha. You know, he's that kind of a guy. Mapenzi ya waindi ni moto moto.
Okay. Yes. All right. So unfortunately, we ran out of time. The last part in short to all the fans who are watching. We will do this again and again and again. So what is it that you'd want to tell some people who love you so much, because you have a lot of you know, friends online, admirers, fans. Of course, the haters will always be there. Like, but you can maybe the last message.
So which camera?
This one.
Oh, this one. All right. So I'll give 2 messages. Number 1 message to our nation, Kenya. Remember, we have one nation, and my message to all Kenyans is that let's build our nation. We have no other home. We have no other place. So wherever you are, and I'm urging all the political leaders, let's not preach the message of disunity or divisive politics. Let's unite our nation. And that is the prayer I have. And secondly, to those that are in relationship, because I'm dealing with a lot of mental health, especially amongst our generation. You know, I want you to let go of toxic relationships. When toxic people leave your life, toxic things stop happening. And when right people come into your life, right things begin to happen. 3 signs to know if you're in a toxic relationship. If there is manipulation and control, if there is manipulation and control, if you're in a relationship whereby your emotions are dictated, I just want you to let go of those relationships. And I just want to pray for you that God will connect you to the right people. So connect. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of people you connect with.
Woo! Amen. I can't even add or take away anything. Oh my goodness, Oracle, Rev, it's been so lovely having you.
Wow.
It was a short, I couldn't even believe how much I wanted to talk to you, but then you know what? We'll find other avenues to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, but stay here with me, don't go yet. So, so we want to cross over live and direct to Kisii County for Willis Ocheng, who's on standby. Let's do this.